All Igniting Change with Barbara Arnwine, platforms by host Barbara Arnwine Esquire, guests and supporters are their own and are independent of any organization, entity. Nothing said on the show or any of its platforms constitutes a client-attorney relationship or serves as legal advice, counsel. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to Igniting Change, its platforms, or the show's host. It's time now for Igniting Change, a weekly provocative and empowering program where you, the listener, can ignite change. Now here's your host, Barbara Arnwine.
Get up, stand up for your right.
Change. Oh, we are so excited about today's show because we're talking about a major book that was just published by Dara Baldwin, and we're going to be talking about the DNC. Whoa, those of us who were there, we had a time, and we're going to talk about what that convention meant. But overall, the theme of our show is going to look at what happens when black bodies are absent in decision-making, on policy, on all of these big issues, and what happens when black bodies are present. How does that transform or make situations better, different? So we're going to talk about all those issues because we know these are the issues we confront every day. But if it is Igniting Change, that I have a mighty co-host, and he is ready to get it rolling. My co-host is none other than the chair of the board. He is one of the nation's most influential and absolutely creative and innovative leaders, bold to the max. You know who I'm talking about, none other than Daryl D. Jones, Esquire. Hey, Daryl.
Hey, Barbara, it must be Tuesday, it must be noon Eastern Standard Time because we're talking about igniting change. And I tell you, Barbara, I sat down and read Dara Baldwin's book, and I'm reading To Be a Problem, A Black Woman's Survival in the Racist Disability Rights Movement. I'm reading her book, Barbara. I said, was she following what's been happening in my life with regards to getting in these white spaces and you're not anticipating, you're not supposed to be there, don't know why you're there, don't want to listen to you? My goodness, what a great read it is. I can barely wait to get a hold and start talking to Dara about it. And, and then to wrap it in, as you said, with the DNC and what we were able to watch occur there. Just phenomenal, Barbara. When we start to unravel this baby, it's going to be a phenomenal show. Can't wait to get started.
And so why don't we start with introducing our amazing guest, who is our lead guest for this show. She's going to be on for the first, 35 minutes, and we're going to cover some really major topics here. So people, put your seatbelts on, as Daryl likes to say. Get ready for the ride because it's a really amazing show. Dara Baldwin, MPA, is the founder of D. Madrina LLC, an equity consulting firm, and she is the author of To Be a Problem. Hey, To Be a Problem. How many of us have been called a problem? A black woman's survival in the racist disability rights movement. She's an activist, a scholar, and an author. She has over 20 years of experience in public policy and social justice work and has led multiple national and international advocacy campaigns as an expert in disability laws and policy and works on housing and transportation equity, criminal justice, and many other areas. She is a former director of national policy for the Center for Disability Rights. She also has done amazing work as on the board of directors of the National Low Income Housing Coalition, and she's done so much work in general and has been one of the voices and influencers when you talk about voting rights, when you talk about disability rights, when you talk about housing policy, when you talk about educational policy. Oh, my goodness. She is one of the most prominent voices in our movement for justice in this country. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome, and her, she hasn't been on in a while, welcome back to the Igniting Change, now author and only amazing leader, Dara Baldwin. Hey, Dara.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Peace and blessings. Hey, Barbara and Daryl. Thank you. It's such an honor to be on this amazing show. And I love you both still out there igniting change. Looking forward to the conversation.
Hey, you are doing it. What we've been doing there is every show, we're now opening it, talking about this media coverage of election 2024, such as you can call it coverage. I don't know what to call it anymore. But we wanted to ask you, at the beginning of the show, before we get into your book, how would you grade the media's coverage of the racial aspects of the 2024 election on a grade of A, being the best, and F, being failure?
Woo, oh my goodness, start off with controversy. Okay, no, I'm only kidding. I give it a C. They are average. And you're talking about mainstream media. I am not going to talk about our wonderful, people who are underground media and independent media. I am talking about mainstream media. Is a C.
MSM, yes.
Yeah, the C is a good C. if a C is good, if you're okay with that. But
you gave him a C. All right.
A C.
And the next question is, why did you give him that grade?
Well, I gave him that grade because we're still in this concept of fear, teaching people to be afraid of something rather than giving people full stories and full information. It is still very white-centered. It is still very much about polls. No one talks about the pollsters and who those people they're polling. It's always this snippet of information. And then also we still see the same faces, the same conversations over and over again. And when there is a need for different voices and different conversations, they don't want to have that. And it's still censoring a person and then people who don't need to be censored and who don't need to have the spotlight on them, creating fear in this country.
Wow. And Daryl, I got to go here. Dara, how are they doing? How are they doing in covering disability rights issues? The MSM, mainstream media. How are they doing in covering disability rights, especially regarding voting in this election?
For that, I give them a D. D for David. It's just horrible. Even the things that are happening, they are not hiring disabled journalists. They are not engaging with disabled experts. Even the conversation around what happened during the debate and the cognitive skills of Joe Biden, the conversations were very ableist. And they were very much disingenuous around people who do have cognitive disabilities, still have the ability to lead, have the ability to work. And even progressive, so-called progressive liberal white folks got that wrong. Even unfortunately, even our clinicians got that. I had to have a conversation with several neurosurgeons who wanted to do an op-ed, and I had to tell them, you took the oath of do no harm. And the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, says that, the community who have cognitive disabilities are just as well protected under that civil right as everyone else. And so these conversations have been absolutely horrific.
Yes, Daryl, it makes me think about, how often, the former president who's running for office again has been calling Harris, candidate Harris, low income, low IQ. Dumb. She's not smart. She's just not presidential material. I mean, Daryl, isn't that also part of this ableist dialogue?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Daryl.
No, go ahead, Daryl. I want to hear yours.
Yeah, we want to hear yours.
Oh, yeah, no, I was going to say absolutely. That is absolutely correct. We are the way in which, especially, and I come from disability justice, the movement has changed, and, we discussed that in the book, but that space of understanding and knowing that every person on this earth is valuable and that they can and should live a productive life and that they are able to work in any concept, any spaces that are needed and necessary. They just need support. And yes, his conversation around her intelligence is ableist, is racist, is steeped in white supremacy.
Oh, my goodness.
And Daryl, when we look at, particularly the DNC, and I look at the RNC as well, and their presentations, I don't recall there being anyone, and I could be wrong, I don't recall anyone, any of the speakers coming out of the disability community, nor hearing issues with regards to voting rights and disability rights being raised. Did I miss it? And I know I was out for a little bit of it. Did I miss anything?
Well, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I, do know that, you're correct. There's not a lot of conversation. We did see there was some actual people with visible disabilities who made it to the main stage. Senator Tammy Duckworth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Right? She spoke. There were some others and some videos that they had. They did, right? So you saw the visibility, but there was no concentrated effort or conversation around the issues and concerns that disabled community has around not only people to think is voting, but is registering to vote, is engaging with political candidates, them actually understanding and knowing any kind of report card that the disability community has put together, or engaging and going to a town hall that is centered on disability issues. It is receiving and sending out their ballots in different ways. And so there's a whole lot around that, and especially for BIPOC disabled folks, right? For Black disabled people. The conversation is much different than it is for white disabled people. And unfortunately, disability rights community does not do that.
That's right. So let's talk about your book. My, because we could stay on this media forever. I got a whole lot to say to Ann Coulter and all the people making fun of Gus Walsh, and basically framing him as a negative, what you call the ugly movement. Talking about, he shouldn't have been on the TV, showing pride and emotion for his dad, just so much of that. I mean, it's like you said, the ugly movement is still with us all these years later. So we'll talk about all of that. But tell us, Dara, come on now,